All right, welcome to MadGaines Live. We are here live in an undisclosed location in Las Vegas. And I have such a special treat for you. Not only do I have amazing guests, but we have a surprise for everybody. So I'm trying to think of where I want to begin. Oh, happy Freight Friday. I'm drinking Stella. What are you guys drinking? What's on the exterior of that?
I know. I got Tommy Brady keeping this thing nice and cool.
TB12. Just getting warmed up.
Tommy cool.
You're going to have to be my football person today because I don't know crap about football.
We're doing picks.
Okay, we're doing picks later on. I have a great group of guests for y'all. But first, we're going to talk about a new surprise. MadGaines has now been around for about a year. And before I started this live show, I was just putting out videos on YouTube. And many of you have been around for a while, you know that. And then when COVID started, we started this live show. It has grown tremendously. And it was time for an update to my ghetto-ass graphics that I created on Canva. And people shamed me for consistently. So I partnered with Lean Marketing, and they have a very special surprise. So we'll do the logo reveal.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. A thumbs up when it actually reviews. Is it done? Nice. What do you guys think? It's beautiful. So we have new logos. We have new graphics. When your guests speak, they're actually going to have like titles, like professional looking titles that you'll see. And on top of that, Amanda Miller, my favorite freight broker from Alabama. She's going to field questions today, but she's also going to drop in the comments the website that you guys should check out. Lean Marketing created the most beautiful website. That's MadGaines. Let's see, MadGainesLive.com. You can check it out now. Don't leave us, though. Put us in a different browser. And y'all should be on YouTube, by the way. And check out the new website. We didn't use some ghetto-ass WordPress, nothing. We used a new tech that Lean can tell you guys all about later. So now that we have all the pretty graphics and everything's changed, let's switch to our guests, who many of you have seen multiple times on the MadGaines Live, but you've never seen them in person. And now, Doug, you've been on the most. So welcome. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for coming all the way to Las Vegas for us.
Thanks for having me back.
I think that you got in late last night. I saw you, and he behaved. I don't think you got...
I went to bed.
You went to bed?
Yep.
Did you behave last night?
Of course I did. I went straight to bed, maybe like 8 o'clock at night, something like that.
He's lying, just so you guys know. No, he behaved, kind of, sort of, a little bit. So introduce yourself, stranger to MadGaines.
Newbie, first time. So thanks for having me, Cassandra. Trent Broberg, truckstop.com. I'm excited to be here. Lovely Las Vegas. I think it's about 75 degrees outside for all of you back in the Northeast. I apologize for all the snow you're getting.
Did you come from the snow, Justin?
Minnesota is like filthy right now. I think it's a high of -5, maybe. I think it's going to be high. If you look at the 10-day outlook, I don't think it gets above 0. So I couldn't be happier to be here. I would have come down here just to do yard work. Just
to get the heck out
of Minnesota. I called my kids and they're like, they ran to Grandpa's car and like that was too much to bear. So I'm going to toughen them up a little bit. Yeah, Minnesota's not good. How about sunny South Florida?
Florida's good right now. The horses are down there. The girls are loving it. But Vegas, I haven't been to Vegas since 2018. So last night was my first time back.
How do you feel? How are you feeling this morning?
I'm calling bullshit.
Yeah, I am too. I know.
No, I'm serious. I've been. I know.
It is actually. It's
the Bahamas. The Bahamas. I had been to the gamble in the Bahamas a few times, but hadn't been to Vegas since 18, and it was interesting the way they have it set up on the blackjack tables. 3 people to a table. Craps, you have your own little, like you're on your own little cage. Yeah, and then when everyone gets excited, like everyone rattles their cage. Yeah,
it's like hockey plexiglass,
right? Because usually on a craps table, it's high fives, it's whatever else. You're in this like
blow my dice.
Yeah, it's like one of those money machine things where you try to, but you're in there. So, but we had a good comeback. We lost early, but finished pretty strong. Me and Dave Bell last night.
Good.
So,
And you said it was a ghost town.
Yeah,
It freaked me out a
I
little bit,
pulled
too.
in and it felt like there was nobody here. Even in the airport, in the hotel, on the roads, it's dead.
Dead. It's kind of weird.
Easy to find a table.
That's for sure. And we had a good time last night. I had dinner with you guys and it was nice. It's been great. And so we are here to talk about. Yeah, I do like tequila. I'm not gonna lie. They all know my drinking habits. We are gonna talk about our biggest mistakes. Let me check.
we have an announcement as well. We are the Freight boy band. That's what we've decided.
We've got a good number. We're gonna do to
With
close
these
out the
mics,
show.
in front of us.
We beatbox and then he just freestyled. That's how we do it.
Right. We're the NSYNC of Freight up here. I just feel very boy band. I feel very boy bandish right now. I'm excited.
Doug can play instruments. You guys, who has the voice?
No, I don't. I mean, I'm a
You're
drum.
a
I kind of
rapper.
look like
I
a
can
drum
already
guy,
understand.
right? Drum or piano, right? Keyboards. Dance.
flock of seagulls.
Yeah.
We are supposed to be talking about the stupid shit we've done. And I want to look at, they're all getting a little nervous. But I wanted the folks here to be able to share stories about the stupid shit they've done in the past. It doesn't have to be now, especially if they don't want their stockholders to know. And it can be about the past or anything, but I wanted to have the folks who are watching, I wanted them to be able to ask questions for these leaders, because someday you might be in their spots and you've been doing stupid shit. Who knows? But I can start out by doing, I'll tell you a story. I have about 50 of them, but I will tell you that one of my biggest faults that I had to work on was making decisions too fast as a leader. And I was a VP of risk at a brokerage, not yours, not any of yours either, just so you guys are all safe. But I had decided that all our contracts required carriers to have general commercial insurance. And I was like, but we're not requiring these carriers to have general commercial insurance. And all you who work in carrier sales, you're about to have a heart attack. So I said, hey, we can't dispatch the carrier unless they've got that general commercial insurance starting now. And the entire brokerage almost went on fire. And they all came into my office screaming at me and yelling. And I was like, what's going on? What's the big deal? And they're like, no one has that insurance. What is wrong with you? Why didn't you ask us? We're partners. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Get the fuck out of my office. I'm so sorry. I fixed a mistake, but that's one of my downfalls that I've had to learn from many times. So who's next? Trent.
Just related
down.
exactly to that. It's pretty tame. I figured we'd start off slow and probably escalate throughout the show here.
Keep
but-
giving Kevin alcohol. Though.
Yeah,
That's
we'll
important.
just.
Yeah, Kevin's got the stupidest shit.
Yeah, he's probably going to take about 9 out of 10 of these.
Fucking worked out all right.
Yes, you've been doing well.
Appreciate that.
Kudos. I had a similar situation where I'm always running too fast. People, I've got a lot of nicknames. One of those is rental car because it's all gas and no brakes. and so I'm running 100 miles an hour. One of my directors stops me and I hear, we're talking about, I'm running so fast that people aren't able to necessarily keep up all the time or even understand what I'm running towards. And all of a sudden, one of her partners calls me a hummingbird, and I said, "Oh, what's that mean?" Right? I'm just flapping my wings. I get this video in my head of me flapping my wings while I'm trying to race towards an issue, or problem, or opportunity, and it was just really around from a stupid things I've done in the past. Was exactly what you said. I was running, racing too hard, and not slowing down to probably smell the roses a little bit, but. Maybe that's a little tame, and we'll just escalate from there. Thought it'll be one of you guys.
Or we can put Doug on the spot.
Should make him go now.
I think the stupidest thing I ever did was my first appearance on MadGaines Live.
That actually was really, man, you were so trusting. How long did that go for?
It was supposed to be 15 minutes.
Yeah, I lied to him, you guys. I told him
I
I
think
was
it was
like,
about 2
text him.
hours. Yeah.
I'm like,
Including the
Doug,
after
come on.
party.
Yeah, that's right. poor man.
MadGaines after party.
Yeah, we had an
You
after
need a
party.
secondary
I know.
podcast. It's
We
just filthy.
were it was a lot of drunkenness, and that was the beginning of COVID, where nobody had anything else to do, and so we were all bugging people on happy hour. But I lied. I told Doug 15 minutes, just pop in, answer a couple questions. Great, your Echo people, they love you, they want to see you, and then we kept them for a long time. And I think
My head of marketing was texting me saying, "You can get off now."
yeah, your message. He was messaging me like, "Let Doug go," and I was like, nice. Nope, we're gonna keep going. And people got to ask Doug questions live, and some of them were fucking awkward, like weird questions, but some of them were really good. And they were excited.
I do have a story. I tell it to, we hire about 40 people a month, and I meet with every class, and I tell them the story of my first sales call. And I just got out of college. I went to work for this trucking company. It was an LTL carrier. And I went through the training program, actually started out driving a truck and went through operations and everything. Spent a couple of weeks making joint sales calls with other salespeople. And, this was my first time I'd ever actually worked in an office job, because in college, all my part-time work had been construction. So I kind of considered myself a blue collar guy. And I'm an introvert. So I get in this situation where I get recruited into this company and I'm in a sales job and I go through training. And so it's my very first day in my territory in South San Francisco. And I go to Burlingame, which has got this, I think it was Broadway, had a bunch of warehouses on it and industrial shippers. And I go into the very first company on the end of the street. And I walk in, and in those days, we would make face-to-face calls, and you would ask for the traffic manager. And the traffic manager was the person that routed the freight. And I walked into the lobby, and there was a bunch of people sitting in the lobby. And I went up to the receptionist, and I said, "I'd like to speak with the traffic manager." She said, "Just a second, I'll get him." So this guy walks out. I'm 21 years old, got my little suit on, and very first sales call I've ever made. I'm scared to death. And the guy walks out and says, "How can I help you?" And I'm looking around and there's all these people watching us. And I think, aren't you going to invite me into a conference room?
Yeah.
And he just stood there in the middle lobby and said, "How can I help you?" And I froze. I didn't know what to say. I was self-conscious because I had all these people watching me. And I just stared at him for a second. And finally, I reached into my pocket and I pulled out a business card. And it was between my fingers and I was shaking. And he finally took it. And he looked at it, and I didn't know what to say. And so I stuck my hand out, and he looks at me, he kind of slowly shakes my hand. And I said, "I want to congratulate you." And he said, "For what?" I said, "You're the very first sales call I've ever made."
That was smooth.
No, he looked at me, he said, "All right, we'll keep working on it, kid."
Keep working on it.
I said, "Thank you." And I turned around and I walked out the door, and I never went back to that customer.
Oh.
But and the story I tell my salespeople is, the very next call that I made, it was like pregame butterflies. Once I got rid of those pregame butterflies, I was good.
Yep.
And I wasn't good, but I was okay. And I just tell that story because for all of our people that are starting off in sales, it's important to know that there's a learning curve to go through. And I wasn't particularly good in the beginning. In fact, I was horrible. But, over time, I developed a style that was me, and I learned that you have to be authentic. We had this guy in the office, and he had bright red hair and a big personality, and he told jokes all the time. And I tried to act like him, and it didn't work.
Was his name Jamie Petroselka?
Well, he's a lot like Jamie, but it wasn't Jamie. But anyway, I wasn't a very good salesperson, but over time I became one, and ultimately it worked out pretty good.
I love that story.
Great.
What does your first sale look like? Kevin, Nolan.
I was a mess. We role played a
He's
bunch.
not now.
No, he's
but
not.
Then,
But then.
No, I was. I'll go back to my first work mistake. So living in Columbia, South Carolina, like 5 months out of college, working at CH, and I guess it was Labor Day, right? It's Labor Day after Memorial Day, right before. Yeah. So go to the lake, go to this big party, stay up pretty late. And my body then was realizing that you know, working all week and then going hard like that, you need sleep. So I overslept by 45 minutes, and I'll never forget when I woke up how I felt. I was like, oh my God. And I came in and I looked at our branch manager and I just shook my head and I was like, dude, I'm sorry. He's like, you get one time.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
You get one time. And so that was my first idiot mistake. But same group of guys that helped train me and get through. I was a mess, just like Doug said. You know, I would stumble over words, but I would practice my pitch in the shower, on the way to work, everything else. So, you know, in those first few seconds when someone's on the phone, you can get into them. But I was a mess. But it's cool too, because I've been in other jobs where you have to call on your family and friends. And so if you're a mess in that, in financial services or real estate or whatever else, you know, that's your circle. You're like, oh, I'm going to see them at a party, or I'm going to see them at church. You're calling on somebody in a warehouse miles and states away, so you can fumble. So that's one of the cool things about this.
You know, I tell like our people, I didn't like sales at first, but I stuck with it because that was the path I was on, and I got better at it. But you know, the thing that I learned later in life is that you've got to be good at sales, because everything you do in business is about sales, even in life. I mean, you know, I'm constantly selling to clients, I'm selling to carriers, I'm selling to my employees, I'm selling to shareholders, I'm selling to my wife on where we're going to go on vacation.
Yep.
You know, and so, you know, learning.
No, you're not selling that. You're just
You're like, I'm driving a plane.
But learning sales skills, whether you work in sales or not, it's one of the most important skills you can learn when you're early in your career.
You got to learn it by stubbing your toe.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'll give you two, and one's not so juicy and one is pretty bad. I was really bad at sending night emails and then not sleeping on them. And this is the worst thing you can do.
Oh,
even if you're sober, don't.
If you're sober.
But worse,
Hot-blooded emails?
don't have a couple beers and
Hot-blooded
some wine
emails.
and then start. Even if it's like a passionate, like rah-rah, you reread it. I'm like, oh my God, that was like a deer rabbit. That was horrific.
Yeah, man.
And if you're mad, it's even worse. So like just don't even send emails that night. You can type them, but then just throw those in draft status, and then you have coffee in the morning and then rethink it.
I'm terrible at grandma. I mean, I even said it wrong.
Hey, grandma.
Terrible at grandma. I'm terrible at grammar, right? And so when I pound out those quick, thought out emails that you're just like, and you just send, right? You know, your theirs are always all messed up, since, or whatever it is. I'm like, God.
They're good Grammarly.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's actually a good
That's
app.
actually a good app.
So I have
Grammarly?
Grammarly.
I have
You got to hear this. This is
Oh,
really
I
important.
can't wait.
This is really important
I'm
for
fired up.
anybody who's a hiring manager or running a 3PL. There is something called computer forensics is really freaking real.
as a lawyer.
So
I know
every
this.
text you send,
Yep.
every email you send, you can't, even if you delete it, it doesn't go off into the ether. Like it's there. So I call it the proverbial mooning of the giant. I mooned the biggest of the biggest by stealing one of their golden boys. But it was the most reckless recruiting you could ever do, was taking them to football games, the pubs. And all the while I'm texting them, I'm like thrashing the company he works for. And for no other reason, just because I was like a really sloppy recruiter at the time. I was young. I was in my 20s. And man, I got sued. They sued my ass like bad, and depositions, like everything. Like, and there's nothing more like, I'm telling you right now, you don't want to be in a deposition listening to
Your own email.
the prosecutor read your text.
How
It's
did
like the most.
they get them?
They hired a computer forensics company
Discovery.
that went in and they got all of it.
Mhm.
Laptop shit, phone shit, and
What about you and your wife? You know, are they getting that too?
everything. And so my point is like, I wasn't sending nudies or nothing, good thing, but yeah, like just don't be reckless, like be forthright, like hire the right way, have them do their job and their diligences, which actually was your last episode about like, know your non-competes, your all that stuff. Anyways, just don't be reckless, because they'll get your ass.
Or get
So-
a burner phone.
Or get a burner.
Or get a
Yes.
burner phone. That's actually a good one.
You should always have a work phone and a
You guys-
personal phone. That's the other thing.
Not
a
to-
future installment of the stupid shit.
Not to blow
Our
anybody
friend
up.
Jim Fry
I
told me
was-
that. Have a
Oh,
work
really?
phone.
Wow, Jim is savvy.
Savvy.
I always thought he was a rule book guy. Okay, so
Street cred.
this is, you guys, this is a great story. And this is public record. So I'm totally going to talk about this. And you guys don't have to say anything, but it's totally blowing somebody up. We had Jet from Project 44 on the show. And we did like a whole interview. He's the CEO of Project 44. And he's a great guy, right?
Best salad in the industry.
And the hair, amazing. We actually had him back to back with you two, like you as well. And the women were sending me messages and they were like, we love.
Yeah,
This is-
man.
yeah.
I kicked out of the boy band. I know. I'm manager now. Jet's in. I get it. It's okay.
You're our rapper.
Hype man.
So apparently, his top competitor, and this is from a complaint that was filed that I read, and then I read this article that came out about it. And the CEO of FourKites, I think FourKites is the competitor, created a Gmail account using his cell phone number, and then sent emails to Jet's board members saying lies about Jet. And then his board members turned around in the complaint and were like, who's this fake dude, fake name? What are all these emails? And Jet had no idea. So he filed a lawsuit, which obviously this comes from the complaint. But you can see that the firing off of emails and the things that happen probably late at night are not just what happens when we're young in our career. We have grown-ass adults doing it too. And I read that and I was like, oh my God, I got to remember this for our stupid shit we've done. I haven't ever created an email account using my cell phone number and then send off emails like that, but it's interesting. You guys have some questions from the crowd. We have a very lively crowd. For those of you who have questions for any of these troublemakers, Amanda Miller is in the comments and she will escalate them to my phone. That's why I'm holding it, is because she's talking to me right now. Let's go to, we have a lot of chatty people. We have a lot of chatty people in the comments. So Jess Tribb, who's a longtime Madtropolis attendee, says, hey, these are not me. I'm just the okay.
Judgment-free zone, I suppose.
Why do I receive so many cold calls on Truck Stop when I just want to look at what's available? You can say pass if you want.
That's a good question. Means the marketplace, I suppose, is working.
Yes. Andrew Teal made a comment. He says, mistake, getting upset when other people didn't know as much as I did or weren't figuring it out as quickly as I thought they should. I need to explain or teach better. I have the same problem, Andrew Teal. Actually, Andrew, I get mad at you most of the times for the same things. Delivery chain word. Wait, delivery chain word is Doug. Doug was called Doogie Howser. Is that true? Before he was well known because of his breadth of knowledge at such a young age. He's a legend in freight brokerage, and having worked with him, highly respected. Oh, that's the guy's alias, is delivery chain word. That's what he says about you. Did you pay him to come in and?
No, I didn't.
He has an official hype.
Yes. Why does he call you Doogie
That's
Howser?
my PR firm.
that's Chris Clemenson. He's over there typing away. So if anybody else has questions for these folks, they can submit the questions through here. So how's your temper with investors, Doug? Have you ever lost your temper with an investor?
Yeah, I was in New York once on a non-deal roadshow, and that's where an investment bank will take you on a tour, and every hour at the top of the hour you go into another fund and you spend 45 minutes with them. Then when you finish with that meeting, you go out of the building, you get in a limo and go to the next one, and you do like 8 meetings in the day. And I went into this one hedge fund, and the guy started yelling at me. He's saying, well, like, why do you guys do this? Why do you do that? Why is your balance sheet this? And it was just like 40 minutes of criticizing me. And finally I stood up and I said, fuck it. If you don't like it, don't buy the stock.
Yeah.
And I walked out.
Wow.
I love it.
That's intense.
Doug's a towering man. Like, I'm not coming at him like that. This guy, he's probably a pencil neck too. You know?
Sitting behind the
I'm just
table,
telling you,
for
I'm
sure.
not going hard at Doug.
right. True story. When I worked for Doug, there were a couple times where I lost my temper and went in, didn't know all the knowledge of everything going on. And I was like, Doug, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, there were a couple times where, he calmly would listen to me go off about something that probably didn't matter in the real broad scheme of things. But I don't think I ever pushed you to a point to lose your temper. So that investor must have really.
Yeah, I don't do it often, but when I do, it's ugly.
It's like you pushed me to the max right now.
It's a problem, right? You got all this leeway, and then there's a tipping point.
Yes, where you've pushed me a little too far now. How's your temper?
I am as even as it gets, always,
Really?
100% of the time.
Okay, how about in your personal life?
No, I've got my ups and downs like everybody else. I think generally people would say I'm pretty calm. I think typically you'll see that in extroverts or even, an introvert like Doug, where you've got a tipping point and you hit that tipping point and you're firing emails off at night and maybe not paying attention to your grammar, right? I think, that's just the nature of the world we live in. But generally speaking, I'd say I'm pretty even keel.
What's your biggest weakness besides moving too fast? What else you got for us? He's quiet. Did you notice how quiet he is? So we've got to keep digging. He's new to us.
I got some good stories. I said we'll continue to escalate here as we
Tell a story.
move through
we need a
this.
story.
I'll give you a story. I was just looking at Kevin's shirt over there. So
So it's me and a line of Coke.
yeah, so we got so I'm working for a large trucking company for quite some time, and I'm new. I'm just out of college, so I'm basically in an analyst position. I'm just helping out, right? You wear a lot of hats. You basically do what everyone else doesn't want to do, and that's your role. So I was helping actually set up for a meeting. It was a big meeting, national account with a large beverage company, and I provide all. We get the snacks and the drinks and everything set up for like an all-day meeting, and of course, it's the opposite of Coke. It's Pepsi who's coming in to visit, and what do I bring in? All Coke products the whole day.
No.
And I'm
Take that
simply an
serious,
analyst.
don't they?
Yeah, it's very serious. I'm the analyst here, just helping out, and the salesperson, the national account salesperson, just raked me over the coals. Just never let me for about 10 years. Never let me live that down.
10 years.
Did you have to
Seriously.
scramble and remove them?
I did. Yeah, I did. It was there, set up, ready to go. Didn't go so well.
I love that.
It's real though. It's real.
There goes.
They won't drink a Gatorade, right?
Oh, yeah.
Coke people only drink the Powerade.
It's all Bev, right?
Right. They're just it's black. It's
Okay,
pretty cool.
I
It's
worked for
lines
Philip
in the sand.
Morris a long time ago. Like that was my first job out of college, and they were like, "You smoke Marlboros or any of our brands, and that's it. Like if you're gonna smoke, if you don't smoke." Like we were in meetings, and they would have no shit. We would be in like major meetings, and the district manager would be doing presentations, and there'd be bowls of cigarettes like on the tables, and they're like, "If you're gonna smoke, you better be smoking our products." Like, wow, all right.
All right, we're all a bunch of type A busy people, so efficiency is important. Let's tell the viewers who are kind enough to join us today, like life hacks. Like, what are some like maybe morning hacks you have to like prepare for your day and get more accomplished than maybe you normally would? Or like just any sort of like a work hack. Like, what's a good work hack? It could be an app. It could be the music you listen to before a big meeting. Like whatever. Like, what are your tips?
What's yours first?
Oh man. So mine.
It's a great question.
Like mine's in the morning. Like I got to get up before everyone else. And there's an app called brain.fm. And like a lot of like coders listen to this, but it's like, I don't know, it's like research have studied this. Like it gets your brain waves moving in such a way that you're like
White noise.
yeah, like almost like chewing, but it's like beats. But the beats are like, they get your brain like snapping at a level where you're just, so like all the emails I didn't get done from the day prior, I get up in the morning. And you got to do it with a headset. You can't just be like on your phone or out of your computer speaker. You have to have the headphones on. And it's just like brain.fm. You'll be more efficient than like ever. So that's my little hack.
Oh my God, I love it. What's Kevin got for us? What are your hacks?
My
'Cause
hacks.
Listen, here's the thing about you, Kevin, is that you come off as like relaxed. Everybody loves you. Like everything's chill in life. But you got like a monopoly. You got like this whole kingdom you're building. And we all know it, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
But you're just like chilling. Are you always like this? Or in the background, are you fucking a million miles an hour? You got to get this done. You got to do that.
Oh, I've got a million things going on. I know as soon as we're done here, I'm going to have 40 texts to hit back on and a lot of decisions and stuff to make. But I like this, right? I love talking about the industry. I love talking about the game. But one thing I do every morning when I wake up, I shower. That's
okay. With COVID lately, that's actually an accomplishment.
Right. But while I'm in the shower, I say to myself, I haven't done anything yet today. So I judge everything in days.
Okay.
Right. Like I compare last Friday to this Friday, right? I don't, in freight, you can't compare a Thursday to a Friday or anything else like that. So, I judge myself in the morning and then haven't done anything yet, need to do something. Then when I go to bed, hopefully, I've accomplished something pretty good that day. It's either a winning day or a bad day. So that's my mornings, in the shower and then get after it.
That's that Waffle House hustle right there.
The Waffle House hustle.
The Waffle House. Well, we
should coin that.
Well, I did learn a lot about, judging day versus day, obviously. At Waffle House, we would compare the last year, same day, same store sales, right? For a manager of a fast food place, it's pretty incredible the way that they manage and operate that business. But
have you made a song about your experience working at Waffle House? Because that will be your first boy band song, I'm pretty sure.
I did actually on rap chats during the middle of COVID when we went crazy. We were all,
sorry, what's rap chat?
So rap chat is actually pretty cool. People go on and they make beats that they allow you to kind of just freestyle on top of. And so we had some going back and forth. We actually had a contest at NTG and this guy killed it. And it was great. But yeah, so on rap chats, I did a song about Rhonda, one of the waitresses that worked there. She was the best. She was a real all-star. That's like a play on the All-Star Breakfast. But,
Oh my God.
That's a life hack.
Okay, here's the thing.
I heard he's a disciple in the morning.
Yes, I have a feeling too. And he's also like musical and all that jazz, aren't you? Or did I make that up? No, I didn't. You're like.
I sent you my Echo Talent Show video, remember?
Oh, yeah, that's right. You're always doing stuff like that. So what's your hack? What's like keeping you sane in life?
My biggest hack, way back when I was in high school, I started meditating. I played sports and it was helpful in especially in sport of wrestling. It's kind of calming your nerves and getting ready and getting in the right frame of mind. And I've been doing it twice a day ever since.
Damn.
And I studied a lot of different types of meditation, and I just find it's helpful.
That's deep.
That was.
I can't follow this.
I can't. Man. I can't sit still.
No.
Well, after we're done here, I'll teach a class in it. Okay.
Gosh.
Well, actually,
Congrats.
in the undisclosed location, right around the corner, Kevin and I are gonna bring you guys there when this is all over with, because they have a trampoline and a batting cage. And what was the thing in the back?
There's a paintball place too.
Yeah.
I told Trent I want to know what goes on the trampoline.
they had a full golf simulator in there. So a lot of fun toys.
And tortoises.
And tortoises.
And
Size of a
saving
car.
me money right now
Turtles
because
the
I'm
size of a
not
car.
on a craps table in the cage right now, right?
So for the first time, I'm actually saving you
Banging
money
on
when
the
you're on the
flex.
show.
Well, yeah, you're costing money right now too because it's Freight Friday.
Yeah.
Getting
People call me
bangers.
and they complain. And one person who's watching right now knows they called me, and it's the CEO of another company. And he said, Cassandra, can you move your show to Thursday?
We had this conversation.
And I said the same thing. I said, other people have asked me to move it to Thursday. And I was like, but everybody's been going Fridays. They can't just move a giant show all the way to Thursday. And he's like, well, my people can't watch it on Friday because we're doing the spot market. And that was all I had. And he's like, so only the big companies get to watch it because they're not riding the spot market as much. I don't know how true that is, but so.
We're all in the spot.
We were complaining about the
Life hacks. That one
Oh,
first,
yeah.
because I don't
Life
really
hacks.
think I don't know about. I
Not
don't have
deep
one.
meditation, although just generally getting up and fitness in this COVID time is important, I think. But I've got a little routine I do in the morning with Blinkist, which is basically Audible, it's books, audio books. Basically, I'm a big reader, and I used to have a long commute, so I used to burn down books on Audible frequently. I can't do that anymore, so I've got an abridged time frame. So Blinkist basically takes those books out there that you continue continuing education and shortens it up to like minutes, 15 minutes. You can burn through a book.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, and it's a really abridged version of the book, so it might not do it all the justice, but you'll get the gist out of it. So that's a big deal. And then I'm a nerd, like a self-proclaimed nerd. I think everybody that knows me would probably agree with that. So I'm just into technology. So it's really around me with lists and being able to check things off in OneNote. If you can keep an organized OneNote, first off,
amazing.
You're a saint. And if you're organized, and second, take that to heart. It's a lot better than doing it to paper. It might take a learning curve, but it's something you should be doing.
I'd say use Trello. The best.
Or
Evernote.
Evernote's good. There's another one. There's one that's just like Trello.
Whatever he wants.
I love Trello. It's a good one. Okay, you guys have more questions coming in, which is, was there ever a time that you felt like this industry maybe wasn't for you? Because that week had so much shit happen.
I got a great one, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I tried other things, but once it gets in your blood, it's
You
really
can't get rid of it.
no.
I don't know why.
Because
What's that?
again, going back to the day thing, no day is the same in this
Mhm.
business industry. Not only because hectic things happen with the freight, but also it's such a people business and the people aspect of it. So yeah, I tried. There was several times, right? Especially again, when you're dealing in the spot market, crazy stuff happens with carriers. Crazy stuff happens with loads. You that load of carpet that has to get to an installation, you're getting screamed at. Like the world will explode if it's not there because there's a crew there waiting and everything. So the stress of it over time builds and builds and builds. So that's why it's so important for, a broker to try to work out some kind of work-life balance, because the spot market's nuts.
I
right?
had a vice president of carrier sales one time. And this is the first time in this industry that I realized what you're saying. I also wondered whether the industry was for me. Not at your company, Doug, or anything, but I was their GC, like a project GC for them. And they had a carrier that just did a bunch of bad stuff for somebody else's account. We lost a bunch of money. And I said, we're not using that carrier ever again. And for some reason, there were other circumstances going on, but it sent the carrier sales rep into this spiral, because that was his number one carrier on lots of loads. He had to scramble, and it really stressed him out. He took his keyboard, he threw it across the floor. He was like, you Cassandra, blah, blah, blah. And then his leader was like, you Cassandra. And it was a ton of drama. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, hey, it's just one carrier and we have 16,000 active carriers in the software. Like, it's just one. But I realized that the whole week had been really just eating away at this team. And it wasn't about that one carrier. It just pushed them overboard. And I was like, man, it's no joke being in carrier sales. It's no joke.
Well, on the customer side too, the salesperson that sold that hot load or those, when they say there's a lot of eyes on it or it's super hot, I don't mind that either, because it means it's a little more expensive.
Yep. Yeah. Hands down, as it should be.
Right. Keep talking.
Bangers.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You want night dispatch? I'll track and tracing 24 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's more expensive. Right. And so, that balance that you're talking about, pushing over the edge. But think about that. That carrier sales rep probably spent years building that relationship.
And I ripped it out from underneath them. That time we had a lot of meetings about it and thorough discussions. So I wasn't a total asshole, but I could see the bigger picture with that kid. I felt bad.
I think there's ways that if you work in a team or a pod setting, whether it's a branch or however you bracket groups, I think companies could probably be a little more novel about like giving individuals sort of planned sabbaticals. Like like statistically,
Shit,
most people
that's a
don't
good
take their
idea.
vacation days, right? I mean, they get to the
Yep.
end of the year. I mean, we all do
Yep.
our tax.
Well, no,
planning,
they're
like,
young, so they do these 3-day weekends,
Mhm.
4-day weekends where they go to weddings. I did it, right? And it's like, you know, they use them for that. Now, COVID's probably made that different, and hopefully, you know, but yeah, they use those days like timeouts to go to social events, music fests, or whatever it was. And so,
I think if everyone in your team's got your back, you're like, okay, listen, like I got July, you got September, whatever, but I'm taking 14 days. Like, I'm the
Yeah.
hell out of this thing, like out, like computer off.
But financially, what does that do to
14
you?
days.
All right, that's a lot,
Right.
but
Yeah.
whatever. Like,
14
but even a
days,
week, like
no.
let's just say it's a week, but like truly, like, but log out, like you're out.
Yeah.
And your team's got to have your back, like have your emails forwarded, everything. People don't do that.
No, they
I
don't.
think if they had that 1 week refresh, it would do marvels.
The week
This is
is
a stressful
perfect.
business. Yeah.
It takes 2 to 3 days just to to get situated and feel like, okay, I am on vacation. So I agree with you.
I think your boy at Gravity Payments would say forced 1 week sabbatical.
Yeah, he would.
Mandatory.
Dan Price, hands down, he would.
He might have Jet in the salad contest though. He had pretty good.
We need to
locks.
put them side to side because
Yeah.
he's got the long hair, but Jack's got that thick, like wavy,
and a majestic
curly.
beard now. Yeah, it'd,
Oh,
be,
it's
it'd be a
so
good battle.
Nice.
Can I tell you a Jet story? So I was
Oh,
walking
goody.
down the street in Chicago.
Sorry, Jet.
And
Sorry, but not sorry.
I turned around the corner and there was like this sports fitness place, and there was a picture of a male model looking good, like on a ball, like, you know, whatever else. Whatever. I was like, that's Jet. I was like, Jet is not only like this suave businessman, he's a model too. It's like a 007 agent, man. So I took a picture of it.
Naturally, of course you did.
Right?
And
Hell
sent
yeah.
it to him, and you made his day, I think, or
I-
not.
Who knows? But it's pretty hysterical that,
It was
dude, if I could, if right, you know, my form didn't look that good on the ball though.
You guys have more questions, but wait, you had a story for us, didn't you?
Yeah, when you said, do you regret? It was my first day in the industry. I highly regretted getting into it. Just graduated college. I show up, major carrier. I'm in dress clothes like normal. And they say, okay, you're going to go out on a truck. I said, okay, I'll be back by dinner. I was not back by dinner. Matter of fact, I spent 4 nights in the truck
Oh my
with
God.
no toiletries, clothes, pillow, sleeping bags, anything. The driver was a very nice gentleman. I still remember him today, his name. He was a chimney, unfortunately, so my head was sticking out the window as we stayed. I learned a lot about the industry's maybe underbelly at truck stops during that trip. But I had no way out because I was stuck in the truck. So like if I was in a normal situation, I'd have been like, you know, just graduated college, young, probably been like, out.
Yeah.
This is not for
You're
me.
like,
But
"Man, doing this."
I had to just sit there and listen to the Qualcomm beep and not even knowing what it's doing for 4 nights in the truck. I came back. I said, you can't do that to people again.
Oh my
That is
God.
not.
You
a
can't.
good
Yeah,
way.
you can't do that. That's way too much of a
Yeah.
welcome to our industry slap.
Yeah.
The truck stops are getting nicer though. The new ones that they're building
Yeah.
are getting nicer. But I don't know. I mean, I've never really looked at, you know, the legacy ones and everything else there. But
This is almost 20 years ago, man. It's a long time ago.
You've had a lot of Doug. You've had a lot of interesting jobs in the industry before you landed
Well-
the Echo gig.
The one that made me want to quit. I was the terminal manager in Kent, Washington for Yellow Freight.
Yeah.
And I got a call from one of my drivers who was making a delivery and said, of course, we had Teamster drivers, and it was
Oh, boy.
it was a union customer, and they were on strike, and so my driver said, I can't cross the picket line. So it was about 11 o'clock, and I had a lunch, and I was wearing a suit. We wore suits in those days. So I told the driver, I said, okay, hang on, I'm going to drive over there, and I'll drive the truck in, and I'll back it up to the dock. Didn't know what the shipment was, anything else. So I jump in my car, I drive to the shipper's dock, and it was a 53-foot trailer. It wasn't a pup. You know, I thought, oh, this is a truckload.
Oh, this is for reals.
So I go, okay. So I get in the tractor and I back the truck into the dock, and I go up the stairs and go onto the dock to see the receiver. And I said, I got a delivery for you. So we open the door, and it's 53 feet of stacked paint, boxes of paint. And the customer says, all right, well, when you unload it, you need to put it on these pallets. I go, unload it? Like me? I'm wearing a suit. And he goes, yeah, you got to unload it. I go, are you going to help me? And he goes, no, because I'm going to lay the pallets out here for you. So I spent
It's not palletized. There's no forklift.
we do have a pallet jack though. And I go, oh, okay. So I spent the rest I took my jacket and my tie off. I called one of my dispatchers to come over and help me. And we spent the entire afternoon unloading, I guess it was a 40-foot trailer in those days of paint.
Do you think that truck driver was on the other side of the picket line?
He was laughing his
like
ass
this?
off. Yeah.
It's a manager on me, not a driver.
He was smoking his.
He was getting paid for it too.
Good for him.
I think you're having a foul week. I used to think about this a lot at YRC. I mean, that was a big deal for me to leave at 3PL and then go to, you work for YRC as well. Wonderful company. I mean, but I would just think about, like, think of today how cold it is in Minnesota and those dock workers. Man, those doors whip up. It's not like there's a nice heater there on you. Like, work the dock, drive a truck. Like, that is so freaking hard. Like, the 4 days you spent with that fella. Your office job doesn't seem so bad. I'm not saying you can't have a tough week, but you kind of got to have that reminder, like the people doing the heavy lifting, the drivers, the dock labor, man, that's like
brutal.
That's a hard day's work. And so it'll, again, you're more than welcome to have a tough week. Go have a beer, talk to someone you love, but remember the people that are grinding this thing like 250 days plus a year. Especially now with the Nor'easter or the Siberian Express, whatever they're calling it. Like, the days like today, we got to take our hats off for the people doing those heavy lifting.
We don't have a lot of people who are actual like dock workers or truck drivers. It's a very small percentage that watch the show. It's a lot of people in management. But interesting fact, it's just way off, a little bit off base. But when I was in Mexico for a while, those truck drivers, they don't have truck stops anywhere. And they're constantly worried about getting their freight stolen. So they have to be very careful. They park on the side of the road together so that they can keep each other safe. And there's nowhere to go to the bathroom. There's nowhere to eat. And the roads are incredibly dangerous for them. So food for thought, if I have any of my truck drivers who are like, oh, I hate being a truck driver in this country. Just always could be worse. You guys have another question heading your direction. These questions are pretty good. Someone wants to know, when you guys first took your C-level position, can you share what your biggest learning was or biggest takeaway in your C-level? Anybody want to go first?
My first C-level position was a CIO position at an LTL carrier. And the owner of the company said, we need a new computer system. LTL software really wasn't that good. Hasn't been a lot of improvements over the years. But so we decided we were going to build an all new system. This was in the late 90s. It was going to be web-based, Java, ahead of its time. We spent 1.5 years building it, did a lot of the work in India. And when we finally finished, we had a big bang integration. We flipped the switch and we couldn't invoice our customers for 6 weeks. So you can imagine what kind of a hurt that puts on cash flow. So yeah. That was my welcome to the Sea
welcome
World.
to leadership.
Yeah. And of course the owner wasn't real happy with me, but we dug ourselves out of the hole. But that was my first experience.
That was a good story.
That was also one of the bad shit things that happened to me.
Killed 2 birds right there.
Yeah, right.
Back to that question, I think my biggest learning when just generally moving up and from a leadership perspective is just to listen. Like I'm always the first. I'm an extrovert, so I enjoy the interactions. I talk first. I often just blurt out things. Then once again, the hummingbird in me coming out, and people would just run that way. So you'd say something, and people are going to run after you.
It's true.
And they think you know everything, but you don't. Like, we don't know everything. Just because you're in a title or position, you just don't know. You can't know everything. So it's just to sit back and listen. I'm often just the last person to speak in meetings, and I do that on purpose because I want them to not follow me, but to follow what they think is right.
Yeah, good question for whoever asked it. In 2016, when I took over Chief Customer Officer job at YRC, the board wanted it to be a disruptor job. So they wanted me to come in and
I
just
hate
shake the
that word,
trees.
just,
And
you know.
I know it's overused.
I know.
I do
Keep
too.
going, though. I'm sorry.
But at that time, you know, I had to remind myself to just be me because they didn't hire me to be, you know, anything other than my authentic self. And so I had to remind myself of that often. But I would say the biggest learning and really daunting moment of taking that level of a position was that we had over 30,000 employees, you know. And so Darren Hawkins, who replaced Darren or James Welch when he retired, he had this sort of pep talk he'd give us around the Tennessee Volunteers football stadium. And he would say, hey, you know, the Tennessee Volunteers football stadium can hold whatever it was, 100,000 seats. He goes, if you take all of our employees and their families and you take that head count, we would fill that stadium and then some. So know the decisions you're making impact a stadium full of people.
Wow.
And I was just like, man, like it really made you think critically about everything you did and the decisions we made. And it was like that magnitude, I think it was just a great metaphor, like just to think about the people side of taking on that type of a role. But
And that's when he started drinking and
even more.
meditating.
Midday. No, it's good.
So I'd say the biggest learning I've had surrounding myself with more people who have been in C-level positions before. Communication, understanding styles, understanding the way that they think when they take in information. We've done a lot of studies and a lot of stuff that I would have never done before, where, you know, they look at what is it, like A, B, C, D, the disc and everything else like that. So that, I mean, we put them all up on the wall. And so, you know, it made me really realize that when I run in hectic, like with some whatever else, that, you know, someone who's a CFO who thinks and looks at things differently, you know, I might have just really just pushed them in, you know, into the, so that to me was the biggest learning that I've ever experienced, was seeing how differently everyone took the same test, but answered it differently, and how they, you know, take in information.
Yeah, I've got a good mentor that said everybody's got their own story. And like understanding that everybody's got their own story is a much different context because they come from a different learning, different perspective. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I think Kevin, as you were just talking about that, I think I've got a new nickname for you, and it might be like the duck. Because
you tell.
I think you're calm on top of the water, but underneath that water, those feet are flapping like hell underneath the water. See if that'll stick. NTG.
I like it. I know it's not sexy, it's not rapperish. We can make it something like
Duck Daddy.
Duck Daddy.
DJ Duck Daddy.
DJ Duck Daddy.
Sorry, Kevin.
There, we made it sexy.
That's going home with you.
It's gotta be a little,
He's got to compete with Chad. So
I was just thinking about Pretty in Pink, which, you know, I don't know if you remember the guy Ducky in it.
Long Duck Dong. Long Duck Dong.
No, we're not going there. That's you. When I was at Echo, I think as an outsider, I was like, I think you were nerding it out on the same. I think on like how to manage millennials, like big time.
I was writing a book on it for a while.
I thought you were.
And then what happened is Gen Y was old news and it was now Gen Z.
To figure out the millennials, and he's like, oh, screw it. But I remember like you were really into you always into tech, but I remember you were really into the people side of things. And do you want to share any of your biggest learnings, at least for the millennials? Because the millennials are still moving into the leadership roles, and I think that's what our industry is experiencing right now with the big change. Is everybody's like, holy crap.
You know, my entire career, I always felt like I was the young guy in my industry for what I was doing. And then overnight, I became the old guy. So now that I'm the old guy.
You're a Gen Xer, right?
I'm a boomer, actually.
You're a boomer?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I would say you're Gen Xer.
Well, I'm on the cusp, I think. But anyway, you know. That
you don't want to talk about your age for another 30 minutes or so? No.
It's public information. Just Google it. So
39.
Forever. You know, definitely there's characteristics of the cohort that we call Gen Y and Gen Z that sometimes I find frustrating. But, you know, I've had to learn that, you know, it's not better or worse. It's just different. And there's a lot of things I've learned from the young people that work at Echo that I think have made me better. And it's made me learn to be more flexible. It's made me learn to be more open-minded. So I think I'm a lot better today than I used to be, just because I've been around a lot of different forms of thinking. But like it or not, Gen Y and Gen Z is going to be running the world.
Yeah, they are.
Very soon here. So
They are.
I think the rules are going to change, and everybody, business, government, everything is going to have to change with it.
So what's the big difference between managing those millennials versus the Gen Y or the Gen Z or whatever they are? Like, I remember when I was at Echo, I remember Doug started a bunch of like nonprofit
There's
stuff.
boomers, there's Gen X, there's Gen Y, which are the millennials, and now there's Gen Z.
Oh, okay. I'm getting them all confused. So what's the biggest difference between millennials and Gen Zs with managing them?
Well, the Gen Ys are, you know, those were, by the way, it's all our fault. You know, the people who
Product
parented,
of the environment.
who
People.
parented that. We actually hired a consultant at one point. It was kind of funny. It was probably 2010, and I said, I don't know how to deal with all these young people, and we brought in a
Their
consultant for a day.
priorities are completely different.
And he started off the meeting. He says, well, first of all, understand it's your fault. He said, we've got a whole generation of people that had everything arranged for them. Play dates, you know,
Yep.
you know, when you grew up, pointing at me, he said, you know, your mom sent you out and you played all day and it was time for dinner. She rang a bell, right? And I said,
Yep.
exactly. And she said, well, that's not how kids are being raised today. So if you don't like it, it's how you're raising kids, and it's not good or bad. It's just different.
Makes sense.
I would tell you that young adults today have they care so much more about purpose.
Yep.
And giving and really being thoughtful about how everyone's doing, of every economic class,
And a
of
much higher
every breed of
awareness.
their awareness
Yeah.
is off the charts. And I think we probably don't celebrate that enough, right? I mean,
Right.
I have a charity I run back home, and I would tell you, like, my most active volunteers are this newest, whatever the hell they're called, Gen Z. And so I think to the extent in work that we can allow them to work on things that have a genuine purpose that impact the business, and remind them how the work they're doing today remind them of the macro impacts of the things they're doing. Because if it's just like, put your head down and get it done, or your ass is out of here, kind of how we grew up, that hard knock shit doesn't work.
Right.
So
It's
I think
actually a more enlightened generation.
enlightened, for sure. I would agree.
Yeah,
Much more than we were.
They're not going to do what they don't want to do.
Nope.
Right. And so you've got to empower your team to, like Justin said, do more than just move freight now. Right.
It's a different motivation.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's interesting. How are you doing? I know that you, at one point in time, I read an article or something that
Oh, geez.
I know, I'm sorry. It's another one of those, why you,
Okay.
why are you calling me so much?
That's our first single, by the way. Why are you calling me so much?
Big
I'm
Duck
going to slap the
Daddy.
bass. I want to slap the bass.
So,
Why you
Uh,
calling me so much?
See that deflection I just
you
did?
have, yeah, that was
Why
really
you calling
smooth.
me
You
so
got
much?
him. You got him going.
All right, we're ready.
It's called
Go.
deflecting.
So the question was you have a lot of employees and executives all over the country.
Mhm.
So how do you balance personalities from, I think you're in Phoenix, right?
Mhm.
But you're from Chicago, right?
I was born in Chicago. Yeah.
So you've got a little Midwestern, you've got the Southwestern thing, but I'm sure you've got people who are in all sorts of areas of the country. How are you balancing those personalities as a leader?
You know, our executive team, none of us are in the same state, basically, although we've got 2 in Illinois, but, you know, DC and Phoenix, Boise.
I think that's
and
wild.
we're very matrixed as an organization. We promote work from home, and it's really just communication. That's it. And, you know, if you can get all in the same, there are actually half of our executives I've never met in person. So it's just one of those things where you know, it's COVID. That's the reason, because they're newer to the organization, but it's just communication, leveraging the technology. If you guys all have the same charter and the same purpose, to your point, whatever that purpose is, ours is winning, of course, or mine is, at least. I'm very competitive, but you can get along and do great things together. It doesn't have to always be in person. Although in person is much better.
It's so much
Can't
better.
wait for COVID.
Me too. I know a lot of people like the
This is
remote
great.
thing,
I
but
know.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like I'm
We're-
like
this
humans.
is a spreader zone right here.
We are.
I was hoping
Well,
that
I think
Doug
we've
would get
all
a
had
little
the bit.
fat
We're
though.
good.
I was really annoyed when I saw him, and annoyed when I saw you because we're supposed to get fatter in COVID, not working out and getting skinnier.
We
I
do
just wanted to say
jazzercise.
that. Jazzercise. All right. So thank you for joining us. We're going to wrap it up in here in Vegas. And as you know, we are all going to head over to the next room and be ridiculous on trampolines and paintball and anything else. Oh, football picks. We do actually have time for that. Who wants to start? Because I don't know crap about football. So
I'm going Tom Brady in his own bed. I mean, it's
Ooh.
tough to bet against him.
Still talking about football.
We're not talking about Giselle. I'm going to Bucks too.
Bucks. One thing I've learned is never bet against Tom Brady.
The goat.
Bucks by 3.
wow.
I'm ambivalent.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, whatever. But you've got a son who has a big wrestling tournament today, right?
Yeah, he's wrestling Minnesota and then Northwestern Sunday. So
Ooh.
I'll be on my
So
little
that's what his head's
phone
focused on.
watching
Yep.
this. Yeah.
While you're dealing with the rest of us freight assholes, you're gonna be like worried about your kid. I don't really care about football. I didn't even know who Tom Brady was until 3 days ago. So I heard that tough.
You know, you have
I'm
to
just-
bolster up.
I
100%.
don't know anything about football. Thank you to Lean Marketing and Lean Solutions Group for putting on this amazing episode. And we will see you guys next Friday, maybe tomorrow. We'll see how it goes with streaming. We'll see what Lean decides. But thank you for joining us. And I will let